Attention bowlers, we are going to get started. Welcome back to Leda Lanes in Nashua, New Hampshire. This is Jake Morrill at Sarah Wright. The match format is 5 strings with 14 points on offer. 2 points per string, 4 for total pinfall. If there's a tie, the points are evenly split. I'm Steve Kelly on the call for the Atlantic Candlepin Singles Tour, brought to you by 3 Ball Spare Conglomerate. It's good as always to have you along with us. This match was played on Tuesday, May 6, 2025. I'd like to highlight a couple of things. First, this broadcast should have subtitles and live captioning enabled, so if you enjoy this feature, please feel free to enable it in the controls below. If you're watching this broadcast on YouTube, the transcript feature will also likely be available. Here's Jake Morrill, our away bowler this evening. That's a 3-drop on the back left corner. Throughout the match, I'm going to describe the play-by-play action and provide up-to-the-minute scoring. Keep an eye on the unofficial scoreboard on your screen. It's here for the benefit of the broadcast. The bowlers maintain their official book records separately. Scores are subject to review or correction as always. As Jake Morrill on the second ball, he left the 6-pack. Third ball, he drops all but the 5, the 6, the 3, and the 10 for a right side check mark and a 6 box. For Mr. Jake Morrill, our away bowler, coming up to us from Boutwell's Bowling Center in Concord, New Hampshire. Jake Morrill, his record is 115 and 123 for the season. He's bowled 17 matches at the ACST, and this is his final match of the season. That's a .93 win-loss ratio. When he's at home, he's 65 and 61, and when he's away, he's 50 and 62. Jake Morrill with a strike, a quick one. But a quick one is still a good one for Jake Morrill. Let's watch that again. So fast you might have missed it. Thank goodness we got replays. Watch this. That wind up right on the 1-2 pocket. Jake Morrill, the lefty, blows 10 up. Draws first blood for the Marks this evening. 2 boxes in. Jake Morrill has a home record, again, of 65 and 61 and a away record of 50 and 62. His season average is 100.71. Jake Morrill right on the headpin. Too much on the headpin. Splits 2, taloned spread eagle on the 1 and the 5. Here comes Jake Morrill with a 4-fill on the strike. He poked the 4 and the 7. It was a 2, 3, 6, 8, 9, 10. Is the leave for a 10 box. It will be a doozy. And it will be a 6 box. 26 after 3 for Mr. Jake Morrill. And they're going to have the score correct down there. Sarah just noticed it. Sarah's going off to score correct it. Thank you, Sarah Wright. We'll talk about Sarah Wright in just a moment when she approaches the approaches. Jake Morrill has a home average of 101.44 and an away average of 99.88 with a high single of 144 and a high series of 551. 7 drop for Jake Morrill. 136. Jake Morrill has 45 strikes, 127 spares, 132 tens. And there's a spare for Jake Morrill. Sends those pins to the Shadow Realm. It's 5 boxes complete here for... No, excuse me, 4 boxes. What am I saying? 4 boxes. We get 1 extra bonus box before we see the scoreboard for the first time. I think I must be thinking of last night's match where Dan Gray threw 4 consecutive marks and we were done 5 boxes in about 3 minutes. So, must still have that on the mind. Jake Morrill left to the headpin, drops 6. That's the 4 horseman right side for Jake Morrill. 1, 3, 6, 10. Oops, sorry, not the half-lister. The 4 horsemen. Jake Morrill on the horseman. He's off to the left. And here's that graphic again in case you missed it. It's either 1, 2, 4, 7 or 1, 3, 6, 10 leave. This one is the latter. And Jake Morrill will leave the head pin, the only object pin left standing for a 9 box. Now it's 5 boxes in. Jake Morrill's at 51 after 5 with a strike and a spare, a 4-fill and a 6-fill respectively. He was 2 for 5 in the head pin with 1 split so far. Still plenty of bowling to go. Stay tuned with us. It's now time for our home bowler to take the approach next on lane 11 at Leda Lanes in Nashua, New Hampshire. At 340 Amherst Street, it's Sarah Wright. Sarah Wright has begun. It's off to the left, or off to the right, that is, and kicks left. 5-3-7-10 for a 6-drop. 3-5-7-10 is the leave. Sarah Wright has a season record of 107 and 131, a home record of 55 and 57, and an away record of 52 and 74. Sarah Wright's season average is 101.68. She has a home average of 102.75, away average of 100.73, and Sarah Wright will clean that up for a 10 box. Sarah Wright's high single this season is 131. Her high series is 559. 15 strikes, 151 spares, 218 tens for Sarah Wright, and we'll talk about that 218 10 stat in just a little bit because that is important for some superlatives. That's a 4-drop for Sarah Wright. 6-pack right side. Check her ID. We ID at Leda Lanes at Kegler's Den. Brought to you. The 6-pack is brought to you by Kegler's Den at Leda Lanes. Check out the bar here when you're at 340 Amherst Street. Sarah Wright leaves the 1 and the 9 on the spare shot. 8, 9, or 10 box. Sarah Wright will make that into a 9 box for 19 after 2. This season, Sarah Wright has had a 45% perfect box percentage. 8,643 seasonal total pins for Sarah Wright. She's currently 3rd place in C North Division 3 and the 10th seed in C North overall. That's Sarah Wright with a 2-drop to the right of the head pin on lane 11. And Sarah Wright will turn that into the bucket of 5 on the left. 2, 4, 5, 7, 8. Sarah Wright has a single match totaling at or over 550 in total pinfall. She has 1 match out of 17 with a shutout victory. 5 out of 17 matches with double-digit wins. And on average, she goes 26.33 for 50 on the head pin with 13.92 splits per match. And I believe that's a 7 box, just waiting on the score correction. And there it is. Both bowlers 26 after 3. And Sarah Wright, here we go. To the right of the head pin. Mixes 6 down. Mixes 7 down. And gets a split credit. Despite not hitting the head pin, you can still get a split credit, even if the head pin is not directly impacted, as long as it falls. That is the 2, 9, and 10 for Sarah Wright. Interesting leave. Oh, and it almost goes. Touches all of them. Pin grazing the 10, but doesn't knock it over. Sarah Wright will take a 10 box for 36 after 4. Sarah Wright's home house is here at Leda Lanes. In her past 5 matches, she's taken 33 points, averaging 6.6 points per match. In her past 5 matches, she's totaled 25.06 pins, averaging 501.2 per match. 10 of 17 matches at or over 500 in total pinfall. And that's Sarah Wright with a 7-drop on the head pin and a split. 5, 6, 10. Favorable wood to the left of the 5 diagonal. Could sweep, but might also get stopped by the wood across the 6. Sarah Wright doesn't play that wood, and somehow she takes the 5 and the 6, and the 10 is unscathed. Sarah Wright will take a 9. That's 45 after 5 for Sarah Wright. Jake Morrill's at 51. And no open marks. Jake Morrill had 2 marks completed in the first 5 boxes. Difference is 6 between our 2 bowlers in these early phases of the game. Let's look at Jake Morrill's stats while he gets warmed up down there. Meanwhile, we have a quick moment. So he's currently 2nd place in the division and 8th in the wild card, so he is just barely in contention for playoffs. And if I remember, Jake Morrill told me before the start of the match, he just needs to take 2 games this match in order to get in. So I'll take his word for it. Here's Jake Morrill. Jake Morrill has a perfect box percentage of 38%, 85-60 seasonal total pins. Jake Morrill, the lefty out of Boutwells. That was an interesting shot. A 6 drop and a split. I don't believe he hit the head pin, but the head pin went eventually. Going to ask Everett of Leda Lanes to quickly go down and check that pin. It's likely out. Shout out to Everett. Newer employee of Leda Lanes, but he's always running around doing all kinds of mechanical work and engineering work at Leda Lanes on the pin setters and all that. Thank you, Everett. There's the wayward pin. Jake Morrill missing everything on the second ball for the spare shot. For the 10 box, Jake Morrill will nearly take them all, but he'll leave 1 on the deck for 60 and 6. Pretty good, how are you? Saying hi to Everett. So that's a 9 box for Jake Morrill. Quickly just shuffling some pins and balls down there during the reset cycle. Talking with Paul Mativier, who, if you missed his match, it's up on the Atlantic Candlepin Single Store Facebook page, as well as 3 Ball Spare on YouTube. He faced Dan Gray and took a lot of points. There's a 4 drop for, a 6 drop for Jake Morrill, the 4 horseman left side. Morrill throws a really fast ball. Really good one on target. He just slightly missed the head pin there. There's a 10 box for Mr. Jacob Morrill. He's at 70 after 7. Where do we leave off? Jake Morrill has a 38% perfect box percentage and 8,560 pins this season. He's the 2nd seed in C North Division 3 and the 8th seed in C North overall. Just right outside the fence of the playoffs. 9 go down for Morrill, leaves the 10 pin. And the target for Jake Morrill is to win 2 games this evening. Win and in. 2 times over. Jake Morrill will just leave centimeters off of the target pin to miss the spare. There's a 9 for Jake Morrill at 79 and 8. Jake Morrill has 1 match this season, totaling at or over 550. 6 of his 17 matches have been double-digit victories. On average, he goes 21.6 for 50 on the head pin and averages 11.6 splits per match. His home house is Boutwells Bowling Center in Concord, New Hampshire. That's a 3 drop for Jake Morrill. Will be an interesting conversion attempt. He's on the head pin, and yeah, my face is his face there. He hit the pocket and didn't get a whole lot. He kind of got the front rows of pins and not really the back rows. And Jake Morrill will take a 7 box. That's 86 and 9 for Mr. Morrill. Jake Morrill's first pitch is 7 pins down, leaving the 1, the 3, and the 8 on the plate. He's on lane 12 at Leda Lanes, getting ready to fire his second ball. And he'll miss it off to the left. He'll take one pin in the back row, and that's about it. And he'll clean that up for a 10 box. That will be a 96 game 1 for Jake Morrill. And that score is confirmed. He went 3 for 10 on the head pin with 2 splits. Started out strong, but kind of had some trouble maintaining that pace a ways through. So Jake Morrill, all the while, looking to get 4 points this evening and get into the playoffs of the ACST. Here's Sarah Wright. Connects with the head pin. 7 pins go down, 3, 6, 10. With a wiggling 10 pin on lane 12. Sarah's a little full on the target pin, the 3 pin. And Sarah will take a 9. That's 54 and 6 for Sarah Wright. Compare that to 60 and 6 for Jacob Morrill. Sarah Wright is to the right of the head pin. 7 go down, a good mix. 1, 7, 9. 3 pieces of wood interspliced between the 1, the 7, and the 9. Sarah Wright misses the target, but takes them all for a spare. Courtesy of that wood. Super helpful. Let's watch that shot again, shall we? Nice little spin around on the head pin. Sarah Wright's on the head pin, drops 7, fills 7. Sarah Wright's past 5 first pitches have dropped 7 pins. Fun fact. That's a 3, 5, 6 for Sarah Wright. And that's a second spare for Sarah Wright on the Triforce of Power. Let's watch that again. She was on the 3-5 pocket, I believe. Or a very... It was actually almost full. Probably a slight adjustment, and it would have been a full shot as opposed to a spare, but Sarah Wright spared the triangle. She's at 81 and 8. 3 fill for Sarah. That ball was a little off target to the right in the back corner. 84 and 8 for Sarah Wright. She's on the head pin there. Leaves the 3, 4, and 7. She'll take a 9 box. That's 93 and 9 for Sarah Wright. So she needs 3 pins to tie and more than 3 pins to win. Sarah Wright's on the head pin a little bit too full. It's a spread eagle and a 4 drop. But that is enough to take the first game. Sarah Wright's second ball sails through the void where the first ball went. Sarah will poke the 2, and that'll be a 5 box, and that's game 1 for Sarah Wright all the while. She finishes with a 98, up 2 over Jake Morrill's 96. So Sarah Wright takes 2 points so far in the match. Still plenty of points to go as we move on here to the second game here on the ACST. We'll welcome back Jake Morrill to game 2. And in case you're just tuning in, I'm Steve Kelly on the call, and this is the ACST Class C North Round 18. Jake Morrill at Sarah Wright. We're having, from what I can tell in my network statistics, having a little bit of trouble with some Wi-Fi connectivity this evening, so if you're watching this live, we might be kind of in and out in terms of lag, so do stick with us. We'll be kind of dropping in and out. I am doing a local recording of this match no matter what, so later on I'll upload this to YouTube. 1-3-6 for Jake Morrill on the 7 drop. Second ball connects with a head pin, but it only takes the head pin. And Sarah Wright, Jake Morrill leaves the 3 and the 6 for an 8 box. Just clearing a pin there, but missed the gutter somehow. That's 8 after 1 for Jake Morrill. This might be a good time to show you his Jake Morrill stance. So again, he is very, very close to the wild card. He's second place in the division, but he's 8th in the wild card, and the wild card spot is the more important one as of right now for Jake Morrill. He's 115 and 123 with 17 matches played. Only has to win 2 games this evening to get into the playoffs. And we're back. It's Jake Morrill. Pin still mixing. Pin still mixing. 8 drop and an eventual split. 7-10. That was not a head pin shot. In Jake Morrill's past 5 matches, he's taken 28 points, averaging 5.6 points per match. In his past 5 matches, his total pinfall has been 2485 pins. That's an average of 497 per match. Jake Morrill, I believe that will be a 9 box. Found the 10, couldn't find the 7. That's 17 after 2. That is confirmed. Jake Morrill has 11 out of 17 matches totaling at or over a 500 in pinfall. His longest streak of strings at or over 100 this season has been 6. His longest streak of matches at or over 100 has been 6. There's the Triforce of Power. 7 drop. The 3 diamond for Jake Morrill. Jake Morrill strikes the 5 and leaves the 3 and the 6. And Jake Morrill will take an 8 box. That's 25 after 3 for Mr. Jacob Morrill, who has 4 games clocked in as his longest winning streak of greater than 7 points per match or greater this season. He averages 6.25 points per away match and 7.22 points per home match. Jake Morrill, I don't know where that ball went, but it got consumed alive by the pit behind the 10 pins. I almost had to double check to make sure I didn't miss a ball. Here's the second ball for Jake Morrill. 5 go down, 6 go down, 7 go down, 8 go down. That's a Julian spare for Jacob Morrill. That is a rare sight. Not only is a Julian strike rare, but a Julian spare. Oh, that's even... buy a lottery ticket because that is wild. So Jacob Morrill, his first ball, that could have been his first ball. But his second ball didn't connect with a head pin, but he dropped 10. Morrill filling the Julian spare with 2. Oh, yikes. Well, it's never a dull moment. A nice hard-earned 12 box on the 4th for Jacob Morrill. And Jake Morrill for the spare shot. Goes a little bit too much to the left into the void. I was talking with Jake before the match, and he notes that he's very expressive when he bowls, especially if he's not bowling great. And it's just something, it's just a personality of his. He says he's never mad at anyone except from himself when that happens, so no worries there. He's just, some bowlers are more expressive than others, so just something worth noting. That's a 45 after 5 for Jake Morrill. With 1 mark, that Julian spare and a 2 fill. That's a 141 after 1.5 games for Mr. Morrill. And here's Sarah Wright's. It's a 4 drop to the left of the head pin. It's a pile of 5 on the right and the 7. Sarah's a little bit too full in the pocket, 6, but the 6 falls late, the 9 and the 10 are left. Sarah Wright versus the 9 and 10. And that will be a 9. The 9 pins left for a 9 box for 54 and 6. Excuse me. It would help if I put this in the right place. There we go. 9 after 1 for Sarah Wright. Sarah Wright on the head pin, but the accordion is the leave. 6 pins go down. 4, 5, 7, 8. Sarah Wright. No wood on this shot. The 9. She takes the 8 pin and leaves the 4, 5, and 7. Sarah Wright will take an 8 box. That's 17 after 2 for Wright. And in case we didn't show the slide before or didn't show it long enough, here's Sarah Wright's stats again. She's currently 3rd place in her division, 10th in the wild card. This is her last match of the season, and I'm unsure of playoff implications for her. She may just be out of it, but we'll... Again, I'm not going to speculate on that because I'm not one of those people who knows all these scenarios and all the strange, crazy situations that can happen for the playoffs. I know some people who track the NFL playoffs are the same. They're like, well, Team A has to win, Team B has to lose, Team C has to tie, all this, and that's just not something my brain can compute mathematically. Sarah Wright almost takes a spare, though, leaves the 9 pin. I know someone who can compute those stats for you, though. That's Micah Imperato and Danny Finn, ACST committee members. There's a 10 box for Sarah Wright. That's 27 after 3. Sarah Wright. What more can I tell you about Sarah Wright? She has 8 matches. That's her longest streak of strings at her over 100 unbroken. Her longest streak of matches at her over 500 in total pinfall has been 5. And her longest winning streak is 3 this season of greater than 7 points per match. Sarah's off to the right and 3 go down. Leaves the 1 diamond and the 4 triangle. Jake Morrill's been averaging 5.4 on the first ball. Sarah Wright's been averaging 5 on the first ball. And there's a splash and an explosion and a spare for Sarah Wright on the remainder of the 3 drop. And here's that shot again, in case you missed it. It was the 1 diamond and the 4 triangle. She made a perfect pocket shot to take the rest of the deck out. Swapping the decks. Sarah Wright filling a spare on lane 11. The pitch, 1-2 pocket. A 5 drop again. Bucket of 5 right side, no wood. 42 and 4 for Sarah Wright. Sarah Wright in the bucket. A little too full in the bucket. Takes 3 of 5. 6 and 10 are left. Sarah Wright averages 6.88 points per home match, 5.78 points per away match. She'll take a 9. To conclude the first half with 51. Sarah Wright is at 51, Jake Morrill at 45. Sarah Wright's at a 1.5 game total of 149, while Jake Morrill's at a 1.5 game total of 141, a difference of 8. Sarah Wright currently at 2 points from the first game, and currently up in this game by 6 and up in the total by 8. And here's Jake Morrill. The opening ball. It's a 5 drop. 5 pin even moved a little bit. It's the 1, 5, 4, 7, 8. Morrill fires, misses the target pin, and the target pin's the only one left standing. Morrill for the 10 box. Goodbye. 10 box for Jake Morrill. That's 55 and 6. While we're waiting, if we want to check out my channel for more awesome matches on YouTube, I'm 3 Ball Spare on YouTube. Would appreciate if you could subscribe and check all that out. Including Paul Mativier's match from just last night even. There's a 6 drop for Jake Morrill. 1, 2, 4, 8 on the plate. No wood. Oh, Jake Morrill just off to the right of the Brooklyn side of the head pin. So he's a lefty, so the Brooklyn side for Jake is going to be to the right of the head pin as opposed to righties where the Brooklyn side is the left of the head pin. It's basically, you can mentally picture the Brooklyn side as the crossover side, where you release from a lefty on the left corner and crossing over the center to the opposite side. And then the opposite of the Brooklyn side is the Manhattan side, because Brooklyn is west of Manhattan. But it only applies if you're a righty. If you're a lefty, it makes a lot less sense. So, fun facts. I don't know. I think it's a 10-pin thing, really. Here's Jake Morrill, still having trouble finding the head pin a little bit. He's just a little off every time so far. He's been averaging 5.5 on the first ball up to this point, which isn't bad. That's if you're up to 6, you're in the A class range. I think the average for A is 6.5 on the first ball. And Jake Morrill will take 2. He found the head pin there, but was a little full. It's a 3 and the 6 for Jake Morrill. We'll take an 8. 69 and 8 for Jake Morrill. Jake Morrill, in his past 5 matches, he's had 7 strikes, 32 spares, and 37 tens. In those past 5 matches, he averaged 1.4 strikes per match, 6.4 spares per match, and 7.4 tens per match. In his past 5 matches on the road, he's taken 28 points and averaging 5.6 points per away match in the past 5. Jake Morrill, fast ball, fast pitch, pins still mixing. Missed the head pin, but 7 go down. First ball average has risen from 5.5 to 5.6. Jake Morrill has the 24th highest Class C average at 100.65. The 9th highest Class C total strikes at 45. He has 11 out of his 17 matches with double-digit victories, and that's pretty big. Jake Morrill will take a nice pretty 10 box. Piece of wood rolls with wheels. That's 79 and 9 for Jake Morrill. Jake Morrill, the last time he faced Sarah Wright, he took 12 points. That was a match at Boutwell's, so this is the opposite situation at the end of the season as opposed to the beginning. Jake Morrill took 29 points in his past 5 home matches, averaging 5.8 points per match. Head pin shot for Jake Morrill, nearly a strike. Pin in the back row. Escapes the action. 9 drop. You can spare that and get a 10 fill for a potential 99-second game. And that process has begun. That's a spare for Jake Morrill on the single. I think it's been a while since I covered Jake Morrill. I want to say, I could be wrong, but I think this is the first time this season I'm actually covering him. I covered him at least once last season. That's counting the time I bowled him back when me and Jake were both in Class B. And then there was a triple header at Leda last year as well, and I believe he was part of that. And ouch, he'll fill that spare with 2. And he'll take a 91 in the second game with 2 spares. That's a 2-game total of 187 for Jake Morrill. And for the playoff implications, I think just might have to stop thinking about it a little bit, because I do know it's one of those things where it's like if you think about it too much, you might overthink. And still plenty of games for Jake Morrill to take 4 points, including the potential for the total, which is really not that much of a runaway for anyone just yet. So just one of those things. Just has to get 4 points in any way you can get it. Points are points. Anyways, here's Sarah Wright with a 51.5. She'll take 2 off the right side. That's a half Worcester on the right side. She poked the 3 and the 9 out. Sarah Wright a little bit... Well, she's on the head pin, but it kind of phased through everything else and connected with the 1 and the 8. It's now the 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10. Sarah Wright will clean that up for a 9 with a nice light ball. That's 60 and 6. In Sarah Wright's past 5 matches, she's taken 3 strikes, 45 spares, and 55 tens, and there's a 3-drop for Sarah Wright to the left of the headpin. She averaged 0.6 strikes per match, 9 spares per match, and 11 tens per match in her past 5 matches. She's taken 31 points in her past 5 home matches, averaging 6.2 per match. Sarah with a pile of 5 in the center for a 10 box. What's it going to be? It's going to be a 9 for Sarah Wright. After 7, she's at 69. Jake Morrill's at 61 after 7. Sarah Wright's averaging 4.7 pins on the first ball. Jake Morrill, after 20 boxes, is averaging 5.8 on the first ball. Jake Morrill is 5 for 20 on the headpin with 3 splits. Sarah Wright's 7 for 17 on the headpin with 3 splits, but there's a strike for Sarah Wright all the while. A 10 drop will up her first ball average significantly. Let's watch that replay. Look at that on the 1-3 pocket. She crossed over. Actually, there's an example of Sarah Wright who threw her ball from the left corner despite being a righty, and her Brooklyn side then is the right side. So yeah, the Brooklyn side definition really does kind of change depending on the circumstances at hand. That's a 6-drop and a banana split for Sarah Wright. Who is hungry for a banana split? Sarah Wright is surely hungry for that. For the banana split spare, and Sarah conquers the banana split. Spare on strike for Sarah Wright. Let's watch that, because that was fun. Fun to watch. All over the wood, and got the kick and the spin to take the 6. Sarah Wright's on the pocket again. Drops 6. Check mark. 5, 6, 3, 10. Potential for another spare. Oh, and she almost takes it, but the 5 stands up and fights. I mean, not like it really was in danger of falling based off that impact, but that'll be a 9 for Sarah Wright. That's the end of the game. That's 114 for Sarah Wright confirmed. 91 confirmed for Jake Morrill. 187 for Jake Morrill. 212 for Sarah Wright. Currently Sarah Wright with 4 points. Sarah Wright has a total by 25 and took the second game by 23. Jake Morrill 5 for 20 on the headpin. Sarah Wright 10 for 20 on the headpin. 3 splits for Morrill. 4 splits for Sarah Wright. Sarah Wright is 5.2 on the first ball so far on average, and 5.8 on the first ball for Jake Morrill. And let's head to Game 3. Welcome to Game 3. Jake Morrill doing his test slide here at Leda Lanes in Nashua, New Hampshire. Jake Morrill. Off he goes to drop 7. 1, 2, 10. Wiggling 10. Morrill will miss the headpin to the right. And for the 10 box, Jake Morrill is going to take a 7. That's 7 after 1 for Mr. Morrill. So we are at Leda Lanes at 340 Amherst Street in Nashua, New Hampshire. Leda Lanes is currently preparing to find a new location. So 36 lanes, but at the moment we have 18 operational lanes. While we're just packing up and preparing to find a new location for the facility. So we'll talk a little bit more about that a little bit later in the program here. Jake Morrill, 6 pins down. It's a split of the 2, 5, 8, and 10. Morrill for a spare opportunity. He'll play the wood, and weird things happen there. The 5 pin even goes diagonal, but doesn't fall. 5, 8, 10. Crazy. And Morrill will take an 8 out of that. He threw the right kind of second ball for a spare. Things just didn't happen the way they should have happened. Just waiting on the score correction. That should be 15 after 2 with an 8 box. And it is confirmed. Jake Morrill, last time he faced Sarah Wright in round 3 at Boutwell's Bowling Center, he had a 5-10 series. There's a 5 drop for Morrill. 4 horse on the right side of the 7. He took 12 points against Sarah Wright the first time around this season with a 95, a 104, a 92, a 120, and a 99. He had 2 strikes, 7 spares, and 16 tens against Sarah Wright in round 3. And the second ball becomes a 7-10 split. And now he's shooting for an 8, 9, or 10 box with the wood. He'll play it safe by picking a stick and take a 9 box. That's 24 after 3 for Mr. Jake Morrill. Jake Morrill's averaging 5.9 on the first ball. 6 headpin shots for 23, 4 splits. Morrill on the headpin. That's a beautiful strike. That's the ball he's been hunting for quite a while here. I think he's getting it dialed in now a little bit. Let's watch the strike by Jake Morrill. It was kind of like this really quick slingshot kind of release, and it was all over the pocket. We'll watch it twice since the pin setter is taking its time. Watch that. 6 pin was the last to fall. Here we are back to the live view. Jake Morrill working on a strike. Head pin shot again, but splits 5. But he gets another ball on the spare strike fill. Morrill is 3 for 5 in the head pin with 2 splits this half. Oh, and he'll almost spare that up. That was a great 9 fill on the strike and a great attempt. 43 and 4. Morrill will take a 9 box. He'll finish with a 52 half. Halfway through the game, he's at 239, 2.5 games in at halftime for Jake Morrill. 1 strike this half. 3 for 5 in the head pin, 2 splits. Yeah, his head pin completion percentage is a little bit low. It's at 32%. He's got 2 strikes, 3 spares. You can just work out that first ball. I think he'll be in good shape, though. Anyways, back to Sarah Wright. We'll be starting out on lane 11 right now. It's Sarah Wright on lane 11. She's on the head pin. 5 pin. Excuse me, not 5 pin. 5 pins go down. It's the 7, 9, 10, 5, 6. Sorry, I got distracted by something that someone on the Tuesday Night League was yelling. They're a very loud bunch. Sarah Wright leads the 7 and the 10. So no mark. Piece of wood across the 10. Sarah Wright will pick a stick and pick the 10 for a 9 box. That's 9 after 1 for Sarah Wright. Sarah Wright in her past 5 away matches, she's taken 28 points, averaging 5.6 per match. She has 12 of 17 matches without double-digit wins. Last time versus Jacob Morrill, Sarah Wright took 2 points. Sarah Wright has the 4th ACST North total 10s at 218, the 22nd Class C North average at 101.75. Excuse me, not Class C North, Class C. And the number 2 Class C total 10s at 218. Sarah Wright recently faced Craig Powers in round 17 to Leda lanes with a 480 series. She took 4 points against Craig Powers with an 83, 95, 98, 95, and 109 with 0 strikes, 9 spares, and 10 tens. She went 27 for 50 on the head pin against that match with 16 splits. Sarah Wright finished the 2023-2024 ACST season 2nd place in D North Division 1. It's a 6 drop for Sarah Wright. The 7 pin is really thinking about it, but it's going to stay... No, it's going to drop. Fall very late, so it will be a 7 drop for Sarah Wright. Wright fires on the head pin, but is a little bit thin on there, or a little bit full. Leaves the 3 and the 10. Sarah Wright will pin it out for 10, 19 after 2. When Sarah Wright faced Jake Morrill in round 3 at Boutwell's, she had 85, 97, 91, 98, and 119 with a 490 series. She only took 2 points off of Jake Morrill that match. Last year, Sarah Wright averaged 101.22 in the ACST with a 156 and 96 regular season finish. And that's a Caleri for Sarah Wright. That's a 5 drop. Named after Bob Caleri of Candlepin Stars and Strikes fame. Sarah Wright to the left of the head pin, takes the back sleeper pin of the Caleri, and it becomes a right side 4 horseman shot for a 10 box. Wright fires for the 10 box. And we'll take 3 of the 4. Almost runs down all the 4 horsemen. It was a good shot on paper. That's 28 after 3 for Sarah Wright. Last year, Sarah had the number 8 highest seasonal total pins, 9,110, and she was only one of 8 who cracked 9,000 pins in that season. This season, she has 8,643 seasonal total pins, not counting this match, which is the last one of the season for her. Sarah Wright with a 4-drop spread eagle. The traditional academic spread eagle. We saw Ed Sargent make this at Boutwell's Bowling Center on Saturday. Sarah Wright will poke the 4 on the spare attempt. Sarah Wright will make that a 7 box. That's 35 in 4. I believe this might be one of the first times that Sarah Wright is trailing Jake Morrill by a fair amount. So there might be an opening here for Jake Morrill to get going here. Again, Jake Morrill needs about 4 points to be comfortably into the playoffs. Sarah Wright's on the head pin. Oh, and there's a strike by Sarah Wright. The 5 pin was the last to go. 10 drop. Great one. Great 10 drop, and there's that. And here's the replay before we show the scores. Watch this. On the 1-2 pocket. Tripped the 5, tripped the 9. Sarah Wright's at 45 after 5, and a bonus, so that might have saved her half there. Jake Morrill currently at 52 after 5. We're back. It's Jake Morrill on lane 12. On the head pin, he drops 4 and splits 4. It's another spread eagle. Caw-caw. Jake Morrill will take part of the left wing and part of the right wing, leaving the 3, the 7, and the 10. And Jake Morrill, wow, he'll take the 3 and the ball comes back. He'll take a 9 for 61 in 6. Jake Morrill is he's 4 for 6 on the head pin with 3 splits. 61 and 6 for Jake Morrill. There's Jake Morrill. He missed the head pin, but 7 go down after the dust settles down there. He's got the 1, 3, and 6. And Jake Morrill, oh, he's just off to the left. Misfired a tad. Jake Morrill recently faced Jacob Myers in round 17 in an away game. It's a 7 box for Morrill, 68 and 7. He threw a 5-13 series against Jacob Myers and took 11 points, so at least something was a tie somewhere. He had a 112, 106, 105, 96, and 94 with 2 strikes, 8 spares, and 10 tens. He was 23 for 50 on the head pin that match, over 50%, with 13 splits. Jake Morrill drops 6. 1, 3, 6, 7. He's 9 for 28 on the head pin with 6 splits. Having some trouble just finding it. Like I said, like I think I'm trying to analyze the pattern here. I think he's just off to the left a little bit too much each time, which means he's not exactly crossing over enough. See, there was the shot. That was right on the head pin, but a little full, but that becomes an 8 box for Jake Morrill, 76 and 8. So I'm trying to picture it like if I'm bowling and I can't find the head pin and I'm not crossing over enough. That usually means I'm like releasing too high up. If I'm down low, it kind of crosses over faster and more acutely. Just trying to put that into perspective. See, Jake Morrill didn't cross over there. It went way off to the left. He drops 3. Sarah Wright made the inverse of this a game ago, I believe. It's the 1 diamond and the 6 triangle for Jake Morrill. Jake Morrill's on the pocket, and that's a so what to Sarah Wright's version of that spare. It goes. Let's watch that again, shall we? He was on the pocket, and the pin action was perfect. And that could have been a strike shot in a different universe if that was the first ball. Yeah, that kind of shot, that worked for Jake Morrill. He got the right crossover action on the pocket. Just has to make sure that first ball makes it to the pocket. See, like that. Worried about that. That's a 1 fill on the spare. 87 and 9. Don't know if it's the first ball yips or what. Second ball isn't on the pocket, still left of the pocket. The consistency does seem to be Jake Morrill to the left of the pocket on these misses. And that will be a 7 for Jake Morrill. Struggling to get to 100 so far. He's at 281 after 3 games, 96, 91, and 94 after 3 games. 9 for 30 on the head pin with 6 splits. He has 2 strikes and 4 spares. That's tied with Sarah Wright's 2 strikes and 4 spares. But the head pin completion percentage, I think, is really what's kind of getting him right now. So he just has to kind of figure that out. Sarah Wright's on a strike. She'll sail off to the right of the head pin, and that will be a 6-pack and a 4 drop. Not done the fill yet, but hey, it is a 6-pack. Check her ID, as Paul Grant would say. Sarah Wright will take an 8 fill on the strike, breaking the 6-pack up, leaving 2 cans. 53 and 5. Sarah Wright will take 8 after 6 for 61. Both bowlers are tied in the 6th frame, 61 after 6. Sarah Wright controls her own destiny in this game. Sarah Wright threw a 98 and a 114 in the first set game and the second game, respectively. And she's off to the left of the head pin. That's a 3 drop. Jake Morrill has been averaging 5.9 on the first ball. Or 5.7 on the first ball, excuse me. Sarah Wright, 5.3 on the first ball. Sarah Wright misses the object pin for the spare, leaves the 1 and the 9. Sarah Wright with a 10 box. That's 71 and 7. Sarah Wright has pulled ahead of Jake Morrill, 68 and 7. On course to take the 3rd game, barring no disasters. She can get 3 10s and still take it. Comes Sarah Wright with a 6 drop to the right of the head pin. That's the 1, the 4, the 7, and the 9. Sarah Wright will take 2, leave 2. 1 of the 9 are standing on the plate of lane 12 here at Leda Lanes in Nashua, New Hampshire. And Sarah Wright will lead the head pin for a 9. That's 80 and 8 for Ms. Wright. Up by 4 over Jake Morrill, 76 and 8. Thank you for tuning in to the Atlantic Candlepin Singles Tour, the best place to watch some of the most exciting Candlepin matches from a wide selection of bowlers from all skill levels. Stay with us for all the action here as we conclude the third game of 5. Sarah Wright will drop 5, 4 horse on the left side in the 10. Sarah Wright's averaging 5.3 on the first ball. Jake Morrill 5.7 on the first ball. Sarah Wright will run down the 4 horseman left side, and the 10 pin is unscathed. There's a 10 box for Sarah Wright. That's 90 and 9. And here's Sarah Wright. 7 go down. It was almost the 4 horseman right side again, but the 6 pin drops. She's got the 1-3-10 to shoot at for a spare. Sarah Wright will take the 2 and the 10, but leave the 1 pin. But that will be the third game for Sarah Wright. She's had a guaranteed 99 to Jake Morrill's 94. She'll get to 100 if she takes this head pin. There it goes. That's a 10 box. That's a 100 game 3 for Sarah Wright. 3 game total of 312 for Sarah Wright. Jake Morrill's at 281 after 3 games. So currently Sarah Wright 6 points. A clean sweep so far. Jake Morrill no points. So there's still some room for Jake Morrill to take at least 4 points to reach the playoffs here. And there's also the grand total pinfall. So there are 8 points still available out there to grab. And yeah, so that's the story of where we're at. Currently, Jake Morrill just down by 31 in the total. Mr. Morrill on lane 11. And here he is, the opening pitch. He's found the head pin there. 8 drop. Already doing better. To continue the analysis, in the previous game, he was consistently missing the head pin to the left. And he just did it there, too. But that was an admittedly difficult shot. Even if you were on target, that piece of wood was not going to make that shot easy. You would have had to play both sidewalls, most likely. Or do that. Whatever. That's a 10 for Jake Morrill, and I'm afraid that is a Paul Grant special. Complete miss on the second ball. Miss the second, get the third. $1 donation to Candlepins for Cancer per occurrence. We'll talk about, that reminds me, we'll talk about Candlepins for Cancer in just a few moments here. I think it's the first Paul Grant special we've seen, other than the Julian Spare that Jake Morrill performed a little while ago. That's a 7 drop. 2-4-10. 2-4-7. Yes, Candlepins for Cancer. Do check out candlepins4cancer.com. Great charity for the Candlepin community, for those in need of cancer treatments and whatnot. Great charity, and also a great ladder series tournament, various kinds you can check out. Or if you don't want to bowl and just want to donate, that's also just as fair. Yeah, check out candlepins4cancer.com. In the picture, that's Al Johnson in the blue and Paul Grant in the right. The MCs of the whole operation. They do a great job. They just finished up their ladder series at Boutwell's Bowling Center recently. There's Jacob Morrill with a 7 drop, with an 8 drop. Missed the head pin, but got a nice mix, leaving the 1 and the 2. Oh, and he'll play the 2. Wasn't the object pin. Got a sweep of wood and got a pin that's way out of play. Maybe it'll roll into the gutter, so we won't have to send someone down. Maybe. Maybe not. Maybe it'll just hang around. Oh, man. Yep, we're going to have to wait on that, so that actually gives us a little bit of time here while we're waiting for that. So, yeah, we're at Leda Lanes. In case you aren't aware, we are in the midst of a transitional period for Leda Lanes. Currently looking to pack up and move to a new location. So Leda Lanes will be briefly closing for a little while in about 10 to 12 days' time here. I want to say May 17th or May 18th is the last day, if I recall. That's a 9-box for Jake Morrill. 28 after 3. And Leda Lanes is doing a great job already getting things squared away for that move. Right now we're in the pack things into storage phase. You know, when you move houses, it's the same kind of idea. But hopefully everything will be right back up where it was, wherever the new location ends up being. So that's just something to keep in mind. So this is the 340 Amherst Street location of Leda Lanes. That's a 7 drop for Jake Morrill. That's the 139. $139 for a spare for Jake Morrill, and he'll miss to the left. I think he just needs to like take a step to the right, really. Like if he could just do that, like he would have the head pin in the bag. And he'll miss it again, same spot. 7 box for Jake Morrill, 35 and 4. Leda Lanes hosted the International Candlepin Championships Men's Worlds 2024 conference in November. I bowled in it. A lot of people bowled in it. I was on Leda's mass holes for the tournament, and we did pretty good. We made the playoffs for the first time in the team's history. And the first day we went undefeated that week. And for a fair chunk of the second game, we actually won some matches as well. It was just a great week. It feels great when you start out Worlds and just go undefeated for a while. Can't last forever, but you enjoy it while you can. There's a spare for Jake Morrill, and after 5, he's at 45. After 5. Not a bad half considering. Only 1 for 5 in the head pin, but he's at least got a spare and an open mark after 5. He's 10 for 35 in the head pin with 6 splits. That's only a 29% head pin completion percentage. A little uncharacteristically low there. And Sarah Wright, 43% head pins. In the mark fills, it's 24 in total for Jake Morrill and 39 for Sarah Wright. Sarah Wright in the pocket. Split 7. 7, 9, 10. 2 pieces of wood kind of settling there. I think that wood will be instrumental in taking the spare. I have a hunch. Sarah Wright also has a hunch. And look at that. It goes. A great spare by Sarah Wright. Just roll that wood over to bulldoze the cans. 7, 9, 10 for Sarah Wright. Watch that spare. Sarah Wright. Sparrow Wright, as we should call her. She's working on a spare after 1. 10 open. Sarah Wright, oof, way off to the left and fills with 1. It's 11 after 1. Sarah Wright for the recovery. She's off to the right of the head pin. A little too much. 149. And for a 10 box, that'll be an 8 for Sarah Wright. 19 after 2. She's 14 for 32 on the head pin with 7 splits. She's averaging 5.7 pins per mark fill, while Jake Morrill is averaging 3.4 pins per mark fill. And in terms of splits, it's actually fairly even. Jake Morrill has 6 and Sarah Wright has 7. Sarah Wright's off to the right. It's in the name. 3-drop on the 6-pin. Jake Morrill's first ball average has climbed to 6.3. Sarah Wright's at 4.9 on the first ball. Sarah Wright pokes 2 more out. 1, 5, 3, 4, 7. Sarah Wright's on the 1-3 pocket and leaves the... Oop, nope, the 5 does fall. That will be a 9 box for Sarah Wright. That's 28 after 3, I believe. Sarah Wright on the 1-3 pocket drops 9. The 2-pin is all that's left. Spare leave, piece of wood along the 2. Could really play either piece of wood to the left or the right of the 2. Think it should connect all the same. Oh, maybe not. Well, I guess the angle is the important factor of that. Sarah Wright leaves a spare on the table. There's the 10 box for Sarah Wright. And I missed a second get the third situation, the Paul Grant special. We talked about candlepinsforcancer.com. We have a couple of fun little things, such as the Paul Grant special and the miss a second get the third. Sarah Wright's at 38 after 4. She's on the 1-3 pocket, but a bit of a thin hit and a 6-drop and a split. 4, 5, 6, 10. Sarah Wright's 16 for 35 in the head pin with 8 splits this evening. 5.3 on the first ball. And Wright will play the 4. That's all she gets. 5, 6, 10. This will be for a 10 box for Sarah Wright. It'll be a 9, and that's a 47.5 for Sarah Wright. Jake Morrill at 45 and a bonus. Sarah Wright 3 for 5 in the head pin this half with 2 splits. Jake Morrill no splits, 1 for 5 on the head pin. And that's the story. It's currently 3.5 game total of 326 for Jake Morrill and a 3.5 game total of 359 for Sarah Wright. Here's Jake Morrill. And he'll mix down 4. Center diamond 6 and 10. And he'll miss the target to the left once again, and he'll leave the 1 and the 3. Getting some better splashes despite the misses. And that'll be 8 for Mr. Jake Morrill. That's 57 after 6. Definitely a couple of potential opportunities left unchallenged here. Here's Jake Morrill. To the left of the head pin once again. Drops 6. 1, 3, 6, 8. Jake Morrill comes to us from Boutwell's Bowling Center in Concord, New Hampshire. And he'll take 2, leave 2. The 1 and the 8 for a 10 box. That'll be an 8 box. That's 65 after 7 for Mr. Morrill. We're having a fantastic time here at Leda Lanes watching Jake Morrill challenge Sarah Wright here on the tour on the ACST, the Atlantic Candlepin Singles Tour. This late season match. We're just closing out the regular season for most bowlers. Most bowlers have either 1 or 2 matches to go. 6 drop for Morrill, 4 horsemen right side, missing the headpin to the left once again. Morrill, oh, he was close to the headpin, but off to the right, leaves the headpin standing. And there's a 9. That's 74 and 8 for Jake Morrill. 355 and counting. 10 for 38 on the headpin, 6 splits. Sarah Wright 16 for 35 on the headpin with 8 splits. It's a 6 headpin difference between Sarah Wright and Jake Morrill. A 20% difference between the two. Jake Morrill will splash 3 on the right side this time. For the spare. A little bit to the left, leaves the 1-3-7-8. And that'll be an 8 box for Jake Morrill. 82 and 9. Hope this broadcast finds you well. Everyone involved here, from the bowlers to the staff you cannot see, all appreciate your viewership and interest in the world of Candlepin bowling. If you live in the area or are willing to make the pilgrimage, the Candlepin bowling community would absolutely appreciate your interest and visitation. Do check out candlepin.org and click Go Bowling to find your nearest center if you would like to give this unique regional sport a try. And that's a 1-3-6-4-7 leave for Morrill. Tails off to the right a little bit too much. Takes 2 pins of the array, leaves the 1-3-4. Oh, and he'll take a 7. And that's the game. That's the 4th game for Jake Morrill. He's at 89 after 10 in the 4th. That's a 4-game total at 370 for Jake Morrill. Sarah Wright currently at 359 with a 47 halfway through the 4th game as we enter the final quarter of the game 4. Sarah Wright's off to the right. Drops 6, 4 horsemen left side. Jake Morrill averaged 5.9 on the first ball. 40 boxes in. Sarah Wright's currently averaging 5.3 on the first ball. Sarah Wright nearly runs down the 4 horsemen, leaves the 7. Sarah Wright will take a 10 box. 57 in 6. The bowlers are tied in the 6th frame. Leda Lanes features all wood approaches with all wood lanes. Center-based automatic scoring. Scoring software is known as BES by Cupica AMF. And there's Sarah Wright on the headpin, splitting 7. That's the 4-5-7. Leda Lanes has a bar called, oh, there's a spare for Sarah Wright all the while. Caught me off guard even. Let's watch that shot again. 4-5-7. Look at that. Nice shot. Great shot. Excellent shot for Sarah Wright. 67 and a bonus in 7. Leda Lanes has a bar called Kegler's Den, which offers an impressive number of taps, drinks, food, entertainment, karaoke, and plenty of other things to do. And there's an 8 drop and an 8 fill for Sarah Wright. It's a split of the 5-7. 8 drop. Sarah Wright's at 75 and 7. I think she'll probably be taking the 4th game. Good chance at this point. So that's at least a 9 box for Sarah Wright, so she's at 84. Guaranteed, with a potential 85 with this 10 box on the 7 pin. Sarah Wright with a 9, 84 and 8. There's a plaque on the wall by Kegler's Den, and it reads, quote, "During the Middle Ages, various forms of bowling became popular in European countries. The English bowled in the 1100s, and around the 1300s, the Germans rolled or threw stones at wooden clubs called kegels. Today, bowlers are still known as keglers." Fun facts, courtesy of Leda Lanes. There's a 5 drop for Sarah Wright. 5, 7, 10, 3, 6. And Sarah Wright will take a few and leave the 3 and the 6 and the 10. No spare in the 9th. There's a 10 for Sarah Wright. That's 94 and 9. So that will be the 4th game for Sarah Wright now. Jake Morrill, now he has to really work for the grand total and take the 5th game. So he still has potential to take 6 points, but this is now a must-win situation for Jake Morrill for the playoff implications at this point. 1, 2, 4, 7 for Sarah Wright on the first ball. She's averaging 5.5 in the first ball. Jacob Morrill averaging 5.9 on the first ball. And there's a spare for Sarah Wright, though. 104 in the 10th and a bonus. Watch that shot. Oops, sorry. Nope, it didn't capture that replay. My apologies on that. There we go. Sarah Wright on a mark. 104 in the 10th and a bonus. Final fill ball, the 4th. Thin hit, 3 drop. 6-pack in the 7. That's a 107 game 4 for Sarah Wright. A 4-game total of 419 for Ms. Wright. 4-game total of 470 for Jake Morrill. Jake Morrill currently down by 49 in the total. Sarah Wright took the game by 18 in the 4th. Not impossible for Jake Morrill. He just has to make just some adjustments, particularly to get in control of that first ball and the pocket shots to get back on target of the head pin. He's missing to the left a fair amount. That's kind of the goal for Jake Morrill with the season on the line. Here we go, Jake Morrill. Slightly right of the head pin, splashes down 8. Didn't connect with the head pin, but got a split credit. That's the 8 and the 10 with wood. Let's watch Jacob Morrill take this. And it goes. Great way to check in and start things up for Jake Morrill with that spare. And let's watch that shot again. The 8 and the 10, there was a lot of wood, and he just got the spare and the spinny pieces of wood kind of helicoptering all around. That was the spare for Jake Morrill. Morrill on lane 11. Oh no, and that's a 1 fill on the spare. Again, that ball just wildly off to the left. Ever since the 15th box, the total has really diverged in Sarah Wright's favor. So after the first game, midway to the second game, that was where things really kind of separated between the two bowlers. That's an 8 box for Jake Morrill. That's 19 after 2 for Mr. Morrill. Here's Jake Morrill on the head pin, and he'll split 5. 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. Someone really fired up over there. I don't know what that was. But it's 2, 3, and 6 for Jake Morrill. Seven box or greater. It'll be 8 for 27 after 3. Here's Jake Morrill on lane 11. Found the pocket there. Pins are still mixing. That is the... Dang, that is the 2 and the 10. That is a split. Actually, no, correction. It's the 4 and the 10. And he tries to repeat what he did in the first frame, but couldn't quite get the wood to make the round trip this time. Only took one of the 2 pins. Jake Morrill versus the 4-pin. It'll be a 9.36 after 4 for Mr. Morrill. He's 2 for 4 on the head pin with 3 splits. One of those splits, like I said before, you can get a split credit without connecting with the head pin if you get a wraparound or a backdoor impacts on the pins. Jake Morrill, there's a strike. An angry strike, but sometimes those are the best kinds of strikes. Let's watch that again, I think, while we have some quick time, then I'll show you the scores in just a moment. The pin setter has to take a moment anyway. Watch that. Kaboom. The 5 and the 9. The 5 and the 8 were the last to fall. So here's Jake Morrill with 2 marks, 46 and a bonus after 5. He's 13 for 45 on the head pin with 9 splits. 3 strikes, 6 spares. And here's Sarah Wright. On lane 11. Final time on lane 11 this evening. That's a 4 drop for Sarah Wright. 1, 3, 6, 4, 7, 9 for Sarah Wright. And Sarah Wright will take 2 on the pocket and leave the 4, the 6, the 7, and the 9. The UNC path backslashes. Sarah will take 2 of those 4. And that will be an 8 box to start out the 5th and final game. 8 after 1 for Sarah Wright. Jake Morrill is averaging 5.8 on the first ball. Sarah Wright averaging 5.1 on the first ball. Here's Sarah Wright on the pocket. And that's a 7 drop. 2, 4, and 7. And Sarah Wright runs those down for a spare. Great shot by Sarah Wright. Back, let's watch that again, shall we? On the 2, 4, 7. Sarah Wright ran him down gently, but that was all that was needed. Here we go. Sarah Wright on the just slightly to the right of the pocket. She'll drop 5. She'll fill with 5. That's 23 after 2 for Sarah Wright. One, 2, 4, 7, 10 for Sarah Wright. And she'll take 3, leave 2. The 1 and the 2 are left. And there's a 10 box for Sarah Wright. That's 33 and 3 for Sarah Wright. So 33 after 3, compare that to 27 after 3 for Jake Morrill. Sarah Wright, splash on the head pin, 9 go down. The 10 pin is all that's left. Sarah Wright will ride the rail, but the ball will go into the gutter. Just barely. So she'll leave the 10 pin on the deck for a 10 box now. And she'll do it again. She'll foul it off for a 9 box. That's 42 and 4 for Sarah Wright. About to close out the second quarter of the 5th and final game here at Leda Lanes in Nashua, New Hampshire, in this match between Jake Morrill and Sarah Wright. She's on the 1-3 pocket. Drops 7, drops 8, drops 9, drops 10. Sarah Wright, that lighter ball is really working wonders there for her. Watch this shot again. She's averaging 5.7 on the first ball now, and the Triforce of Wisdom is the last to go. So both blowers on strikes. Sarah Wright 52 and a bonus in the 5th. Jake Morrill preparing to make his last stand. 46 and a bonus with that strike for Jacob Morrill. And this is going to have to be a monster half for Jake Morrill to recover 55 pins in the total, as well as take the game, and you know the rest. Jake Morrill dropping 5 to start out. To fill the strike, it'll be 7 on the strike. 53 and 5 for Jake Morrill. Tough split. It'll be a 7. That's 60 and 6 for Jake Morrill. Just clearing a gutter there. Morrill's on the head pin on the pocket, and it looked good on paper. It looked like a strike, but he leaves the 4 and the 5. And he'll get a field goal between the 4 and the 5. Sometimes the spare leaves are just not there, and that'll be 8 for Morrill. 68 and 7. With 3 to go. Oh, Jake Morrill will drop 2, and that's a half Worcester on the left side. The 2 and the 8 are poked out. The follow-up to the half Worcester on the head pin, and he just couldn't really get the impact there. He was on the pocket, but it just kind of jumped through and didn't connect with the 5 or the 3. That'll be a 5 for Morrill. 73 and 8 for Mr. Morrill. Here's Jake to the left of the head pin. Drop 6. 1, 3, 6, 7. He'll poke the head pin. It's the 3, the 6, and the 7. For the 10 box, it'll be a 7 for Jake Morrill. It's 80 and 9. With 1 to go. Currently at 450. It's 4 for 9 on the head pin. Misses the head pin there, drops 5. It's the 4 horseman left in a sleeper. Potential for a 100 game if you can spare this and get a 10 fill. And the spare is just out of reach a little bit. Leaves the 1 and the 7. Final ball for Jake Morrill. That will be a 10 bucks, and that will be a 90 in game 5 for Jake Morrill. That's 460 after 5. A struggle of a night for Jake Morrill. 96, 91, 94, 89, and 90. For a 5-game total of 460, 3 strikes and 6 spares. Just really having trouble with that head pin, particularly tonight. 14 for 50 on the head pin with 10 splits. That's the story of the night for Jake Morrill. He has at least 2 points. And it's now Sarah Wright to do the honors to close out this evening. She's working on a strike. She'll split 4 so far. 6 pins are up. 4, 6, 3, 7, 8, 10. Before we go, I'd like to say a couple special thanks to our ACST committee members, including our league commissioner, Danny Finn, Our Class C treasurer, Anthony Karen. Our ACST statistician, Micah Imperato. And the staff at Leda Lanes, of course, for always doing such a great job. I'd like to thank Steve Abodeely for some of the B-roll and photography you've seen this evening. Check out his work at stabodeely.com. STABODEELY.com. There's a 9 box for Sarah Wright in the 6 for 67. Up by 7 over Jake Morrill, 60 and 6. Thank you for watching. My apologies if you're watching this live and we kind of struggled through some Wi-Fi issues. I have been watching that monitor, and not a whole lot we can do about that with Wi-Fi issues. Just with busy centers, that can just sometimes happen. We'll be doing a recording of this match regardless. We'll put it up on YouTube later on 3 Ball Spare. So do check that out if you want to see a more HD, less pixely match version of this match later on. Sarah Wright with a spare opportunity, and she gets stuffed by the wood a little bit. It's the 3 and the 7. 3 and the 7 for Sarah Wright. No, 3 and the 9. I am very, very far back. You probably can't even see me in the front shot. I'm actually in the arcade area, so I'm a little bit farther away than I normally am from the bowlers, but that's a 9 for Sarah Wright. That's 76 and 7. Sarah Wright's been all over the pocket this game, or all over the head pin. 5 for 7 on the head pin with 2 splits, and overall she's 24 for 47 on the head pin with 13 splits. Sarah Wright is over the 50% completion percentage. Sarah Wright in the pocket again, and it's a split of 7. 7-10-4 for Sarah Wright. 7, the 10, and the 4. And for the spare shot, Sarah plays the wood. Maybe some wheels, but the wheels, well, it had the momentum, but just ran in front of the 4 and the 7. She played the 10. And Sarah Wright with a 9 box for 85 in 8. She has 5 pins to go to get to Jake Morrill's 90, and she already has the total by at least 44. Sarah Wright will likely be taking all the points, actually, potentially. This is a potential 14-0 sweep for Sarah Wright. We'll assess all that in just a little bit. Sarah Wright will poke 2 out for the half Worcester. The 2 and the 8 go down. And Sarah Wright sails into the void, and the void stares back on the half Worcester left side. Final ball of the 9th frame for Sarah Wright. She's on the pocket. We'll take 2 more out. That's a 4 box for Sarah Wright. 89 and 9. No, I'm sorry. 5 box. 90 and 9. Sarah Wright has earned her 13th point. This last frame will determine the 14th point. She's off to the right, and that should be it. It's a 5 drop to the right of the head pin. 1, 2, 4, 6, 10. Sarah Wright sails into the void once again. 2 balls in the same location, just like in the last frame. 4, 10, 1, 2... 4, 6, 1, 2, 10 for Sarah Wright. And that will be a 7. That's a 97 game 5 and a 5 game total of 5, 16 for Sarah Wright. And Sarah Wright will take 14 points this evening. She takes a 5-16 with the 97 fifth game, 98, 114, 100, 107, and 97 for Sarah Wright. Jake Morrill, 96, 91, 94, 89, and 90 for a 5 game total of 460. We'll assess the final situation here. So Sarah Wright, a rout of 14 points with a 5-16 to Jake Morrill's 460. And Sarah Wright just really popping off as of right around between box 15 and box 20. That was where Sarah Wright just took off and couldn't be caught. Jake Morrill just really struggling to particularly find the head pin this evening. 28% on the head pin, and just having a lot of trouble with that. So with the final points distributed, that will put Sarah Wright at 121 and 131 for the season. Jake Morrill will finish the season 115 and 137. So that will be where everything ends up falling this evening here on the Atlantic Candlepin Singles Tour. So I hope you enjoyed this broadcast. I want to thank you for watching. I hope this was a pleasant viewing experience for you. If you enjoyed what you saw and want to see more, I invite you to strike, comment, and subscribe to the Multiverse of Candlepin Bowling, such as the Atlantic Candlepin Singles Tour page on Facebook and YouTube, Candlepin Chat Group on Facebook, Candlepin Bowling Network, Candlepin Corner on YouTube, at Candlepin Bowling on TikTok, Outrun the Bear on Facebook and Instagram. There's also Alley Chat on YouTube. There's Bowling with the Gothiers on YouTube. Wolfman12395 on YouTube, and the Candlepin Bowling channel for classic Candlepin TV. There's the Ripping the Rack podcast and the Approach podcast, as well as Tony Levesque and Charlie Collins on YouTube and TikTok, respectively. And if you think bowling is fun and you want to check it out, go to candlepin.org and click Go Bowling to find your nearest center. If you like my content, check out 3 Ball Spare on YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook for full matches, shorts, highlights, and more. I'd appreciate you if you check that out. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this match. For Jake Morrill at Sarah Wright, I've been Steve Kelly, and we'll see you at the next Atlantic Candlepin Singles Tour from Leda Lanes at Amber Street in Nashua, New Hampshire. Have a great one, everybody.